In this module, we will provide a case study that utilizes our LEIC planning tool and demonstrates how the information can then be used as a lead-in to the development of the IEP. By acknowledging the student with FASD as having a physical, brain-based disability, we are able to provide the accommodations to assist their daily function within the school setting. As we enter the information into the learner part of the LEIC page, we start to identify who this student, we'll call Tom, really is. The perceived developmental functional ages of the learner provides a snapshot of the student's levels in relation to their chronological age. You can see that dysmaturity is an issue and will need to be considered in the planning. The key to this area of the planning page is to identify Tom's areas of need and approximate developmental levels. This information will help us in developing an appropriate learning environment for him. By listing Tom's strengths, we are ensuring that they are acknowledged in the planning of the educational program. Building on the learner's strengths is key to providing success and increased confidence. Acknowledging Tom's preferred learning style and interests are also important pieces of information as we try to answer who is this learner and how can we best support him. Now that we know who this learner is, the LEIC page requires us to identify where the poor fits are. First, we determine the expectations of the setting and of Tom's brain and relate them to the primary disabilities. We can then identify the poor fit. For example, if the expectation is to work and think quickly, and Tom displays a slow processing pace, then that clearly is a poor fit. When there is a poor fit, many secondary behaviors are typically observed. In this case, accommodations are clearly needed to support the primary disabilities and to reduce Tom's frustration. At this point in the module, you may choose to pause the video and make a list of possible accommodations for Tom. The accommodations are the strategies and adaptations we can make to the learning situation, the environment, instruction, and curriculum that will support the student's primary disabilities. You will want to acknowledge and utilize Tom's areas of need, strengths, interests, and learning style as you create your list. Once you have completed your list, click play on the video and see what accommodations were actually put into place for this student. For Tom, several environmental accommodations were suggested. Many applied to the whole classroom so that all students would benefit. The classroom was structured with clear, consistent routines that were explicitly taught and practiced. A quiet place was provided where Tom could go to work when he was feeling overwhelmed. A homeschool communication book was initiated, and he learned the class routine of writing the day's schedule into his student planner. Always providing visual directions along with verbal ones allowed Tom to function more independently in class. As far as providing instructional accommodations, Tom primarily needed more time to complete assignments. By providing an amount of work that could be completed in the time period given, Tom could finish the task. Because of his perseveration, completion needed to happen or frustration would build. Opportunities to complete work during break times and silent reading times also helped to reduce the anxiety for this student. In addition, the whole class was given frequent warnings of upcoming activity changes to ease the difficulties with transitions. Tom also needed frequent feedback and reassurance that his work was fine. Providing this feedback not only made Tom feel more comfortable and confident, it increased the level of his supervision in class. The curriculum accommodations are essentially making the resources and activities you choose fit the learner. Because Tom is a visual learner, the teacher accommodated the student by showing examples of finished products, providing visual directions, demonstrating and modeling the procedures, and providing hands-on activities. Another key aspect is to provide curricular adaptations for the learner that will give the best chances for success. Adapt the number of questions, the method for displaying learning, the level of difficulty, the amount of direct instruction, and the amount of time needed to complete the task. As well, Tom needed frequent opportunities for practice and review before a skill was learned. Finally, because of some playground issues, Tom was given specific guidelines for behavior, for example, keeping his hands and feet to himself, and the level of supervision was increased. In this case, the key accommodation was the teacher establishing a good relationship with Tom. Taking the time to strengthen this relationship was crucial as it made Tom more comfortable, trusting, and willing to try, and it allowed the teacher to understand him so much better. The more teachers understand the learner, the better they are able to anticipate problems and plan to avoid them. Finally, Tom, with a classroom environment that fit his needs, displayed few, if any, of the secondary behaviors observed prior to the accommodations. The behavior data for Tom clearly demonstrates the effectiveness of providing an environment that supports his needs. The great part of the accommodations is that most were already a part of the teacher's teaching methods and that most were easily put into place for the whole classroom. Now that we have explained how the LEIC tool can support teachers and students, the next question we often get is, how does the LEIC page relate to the IEP? We feel that the LEIC planning page is a great tool for supporting the development of an individual education plan. The LEIC page encourages the team to get a clear picture of the child, which is an important first step in IEP development. The intent of the LEIC page is to plan a learning environment that better fits the student with FASD. It is not a tool to determine specific learning goals and objectives, and it is not a tool for making a diagnosis. The resulting accommodations from the LEIC page are the strategies and adaptations that will help the student to meet the educational goals and objectives. All IEPs have areas for providing suggested resources and strategies, and this is the area where we feel the accommodations developed on the LEIC page can be a valuable addition to an IEP. As an example, if the objective for a student is to complete 90% of the daily assignments, then the accommodations of assigning fewer questions, providing a quiet place to work, teaching a specific work hand-in routine, and giving frequent breaks can be included in the resources strategies areas beside the written-out objective. Furthermore, by having these accommodations listed in this area, the information is passed from teacher to teacher, year to year. The LEIC page is a valuable solution-finding tool for the teacher that provides practical information on how to support that student's specific needs. By implementing these accommodations, the student will be better supported, will show fewer secondary behaviors, and will have a better chance to meet the goals and objectives of their IEP. We encourage you to download a copy of our LEIC page and work through it using a student in your classroom or on your caseload. We are confident that it will help you to develop appropriate and effective supports for your student.